it's on Netflix. He shared the show name, so it's called The Brother's Son. And I see the trailer and I'm like, no way, Michelle Yeoh is in it. You know, she's like one of my heroes from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'm like, what are you saying to me right now? So I see that trailer and I'm like, no freaking way. Oh my God. It was everything. It was a love song, like my intention of like how I want my music to bring people together or be positive. And then it had the fusion of who I am, which is like the sitars being Eastern and then the drum parts being the Western. And then it's just like each element of my song was used so beautifully in that episode that I was so blown away. And it reminded me, like, that was a moment where like, you can't give up, Sonia.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Film Goals podcast. Today I'm with the one and only Sonia Barcelona.
Hello.
So she is all-around artist, but you're mostly music, right?
Yes. So I would say music is the foundation of everything that I do. And then I kind of move in between like drawing, visual art, photography is another big one. So, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So your story is a little interesting to me because you were in film school at UNLV and then you just went straight into music, and that's kind of like you perform everywhere, like downtown, and you have a lot of different, you have songs and music videos. So how did that transition happen?
Yeah, I think that was really interesting. So I was super shy in film school at UNLV. A lot of my professors might remember me from being like that girl with the red sweater and the scooter, because that's how I would transport myself to the classes. But I always kind of remained in the corner because I wasn't really that great at socializing, I would say. But I was very observant, and I still am. So I love movies because I love the lighting, I love the storytelling, and I took all of that information that I had from film school and I kind of applied it to open mics. So I would go to open mics, and then I didn't know I had a talent for music until I started singing songs on Facebook to my friends who were like far away after, you know, like you graduate college and you do things and you move. So I would just make little tunes just for fun. And then that was when my close friends were like, hey, you should go to open mics and actually perform. And me being so shy, that was like one of my biggest fears of all time. So I guess like I just kind of, it fueled me to get over a fear going to open mics, and then I would like take photos of other people and just practice on like visual stuff. And yeah, that's kind of how it came about. It was organic. I didn't really think too much. I was just like, oh, I like this and I like this and I'm afraid of this and I might as well tackle it. Like, it was like that.
That's awesome, facing your fears.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your focus when you were in film school? Did you want to be a director or cinematographer, or did you get that far? Did you graduate, actually?
Yes. So I did graduate with a bachelor's. And I think what I took from it was the storytelling aspect and the cinematography. So I applied what I learned there to my photography. So I'm a portrait photographer. Right now in my journey, I think I'm kind of leaning more into abstract stuff and nature. Learning how to edit in like a surreal way, because what I learned from portraiture is like editing human beings, and then more recently my thought has been on like vibrant colors and how I used to feel as a kid, like primary colors like red, yellow, blues, and now I'm like, how do I apply what I loved as a kid and put that into my photography? So I still do portraiture, but now I'm thinking in kind of different ways. It's maybe something like, maybe my creativity is just like making me wander into that part of photography. Anyway, yeah. so
mostly like cinematography, photography. That's what you focused on.
Yeah, I took a cinematography course, and then there was screenwriting, and so all of those storytelling plus the visual really mattered to me, and it still matters to me. That applies in my music as well. When I write music, it's usually I have to imagine a story or like a place or a feeling I want to emit in my music. And then it's kind of like I'm writing a scene already. So I love making music videos. So that kind of like moved into a space of the film collaborating with other people to make a music video. It's kind of a short form, a really nice mini movie.
Yeah.
So I love making music videos, and I love that I have the ability to make music too. That was a surprise to me. So yeah, I guess film school kind of incorporated, I mean, I can look back at it now and be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But while I was doing it then, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't say like, oh, I'm going to be this, this, and this, and I'm going to do this, this. It's really like, my journey's so weird. It's so like not
Twists and
linear
turns. Yeah.
at all.
I think all journeys are like that.
Yeah, I would say so for any artist, right?
So you started doing open mics. Do you remember your first time, your first song that you did?
Oh my God, yes. So I never do this. Just I learned my lesson from this, but my friend, I was so afraid. I took some liquid courage. I just like had a shot of whatever awful drink, and I performed an original song, and I blanked out on all my lyrics, and it was I didn't know it was filmed for a late night like local TV station.
Oh, okay.
So not only did I blank out on all my lyrics, I just like stared at the camera like
wow,
deer in headlights. And the worst part of that is when you have an original song, nobody can help you because they don't know the song.
Okay.
If it's a cover, they could just be like, you know, they could help you. Be like, the first verse, the first words. But I was just like, pigtails, blank eyed. Anyway, it was embarrassing. And from that point on, I said, like, there's the only way I can go is up, right? So I just kept going because I felt so embarrassed and humiliated. I was like, well,
you had to redeem yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. And so I just kept going to prove to myself that I wasn't that bad.
Okay, that's crazy. So why did you decide for your first time to do your own song, original song, and not a cover, to like try it out?
Right. I still have this tendency. I struggle with singing like covers that I'm not completely just into. Like I love listening to other people, but I have to almost be in my own little world, or else that influence will influence me. And so if it's not a song that I'm super like into, and at the beginning of my journey, I was just learning chords, so it was already difficult enough for me to remember chords plus remember other people's lyrics. Right. So remembering my own was a lot easier, actually.
Okay.
But then, I mean,
and then you've always done it with like your own guitar, like a guitar, because you play the guitar, right? That's a lot of your music.
Yeah, so it went from ukulele to playing the guitar.
Okay.
And it's kind of natural progression, like a little mini guitar, and then add strings, and it's a bigger one.
And you said, I remember we were talking before, like, you got the ukulele just cuz, and then you just started playing, or was there a reason why?
I think my first ukulele was actually given to me, and then I was like, oh, I mean, with gifts, I don't not care for them and use them, so I was just like, oh god, just gotta learn this and see if I can make a song, and then I happened to make a song, and then my friends were like, wow, that was pretty amazing, and I was like, what do you mean? I sound like a squirrel. And you have a negative bias from the get.
Yeah.
And so I thought I sounded awful. And if it really wasn't for the just like gentle nudging of my family and friends to keep on going, then I would have followed that negative voice in my head and been like, oh, this is awful and I'm never going to do it again.
Do you still feel like you're not good, or you still like don't like your voice? Or are you at a better place where you're like, oh, pretty good?
Yeah, I would say 10 years later, I would say I really do enjoy my voice. It's come to the point where even my talking voice is more reflective of how I feel and sing. And so with experience and time, I think that's it. It just takes it just takes experience and time to be comfortable in your own voice and who you are. And I'm constantly growing too. There's a lot of times where I do take a take and I go like, hey, that was gross. But I'm not as like hard on myself as I was when I was younger. Yeah.
How did you develop even like the ear for that? Is that something did you take classes for singing or anything, or even like instruments?
No. So I'm self-taught? Completely self-taught. YouTube University. Yeah. Just looking everything up on YouTube. Because I once I discovered that I could do that, then I was just like, okay, I can learn at my own pace. And with everybody's busy schedule, you can do that nowadays. Is you could just look up any information, and especially with music, for me, all I really need is like the basics, and then I have already like a spark of just creativity of like, oh, if this chord sounds this, and then I can move here. So I wouldn't say I don't have a trained ear or anything. I'm really lucky to have parents who listened to good music when I was younger.
Okay.
So I'm thankful for that. They were listening to like really kind of strange things too. Enigma, Bjork. I was listening to Lauryn Hill. My mom loved America and the Eagles, and really just like great melody makers, great lyrics. So I'm lucky that my parents were listening to that. I probably wouldn't be who I am if, yeah, I had a foundation of.
If they had shitty taste in music.
Yeah, I wouldn't say shitty, just like if they had a different
Right.
upbringing, then of course that would have influenced me.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. So, what are some of like you mentioned your parents' artists? What are some of your artists that you influenced you to make your kind of music? And what would you classify your genre?
Right now, I'm really interested in just blending my heritage, like Eastern and Western influences. So I'm half Indian and half Filipino. And I'm really interested in incorporating those Eastern instruments, like sitars in particular, gourds, like just different string instruments, actually. So I have a song called Heart Station, which really represents that Eastern and Western fusion. It has like a drum break beat that's Western, hip hop influence. I love hip hop. And then I incorporated a sitar, and then I was like, okay, how do I add lyrics and with my own voice and my own take? So I kind of am interested in that fusion, producing music with that really represents who I am. And surprisingly, people enjoy that too. So it's like, okay, cool. I don't know I would say smooth, maybe indie rock, because I do play an electric guitar for solo performances. It's just my voice, very smooth, and then I play an electric guitar. I was very influenced by Sade. I love her lyrics. I love that she has such strength in being smooth and positive in her words. And I think just kind of being inspired by voices like that and sounds, female songwriters like that, influenced me to just stay kind of confident in my abilities. Because in the beginning I was like, oh, why can't I do like crazy runs? Why can't I like belt as much as other people? And
Right.
and I'm like, the more and more I grow with myself and I listen to myself, I just go like, yo, just lean into being chill and smooth, and genre wise, hardcore chill.
I love it. So you also went. So I met you at the Spacecraft Mixer. You performed a song there, and you kind of talked about how you got into producing. So when it comes to like recording your songs, you produce everything and you record it yourself, or how did you start, and where are you now?
I would say generally I start everything on my own. I do love collaborating with others, but with the way that I am and like the sound that I want to create, it's usually me being like a little kid in my space and being like, oh, I like this toy, I like this, blah, 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 let's create, blah, 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 put this together, see how it sounds. So generally, I record on my phone. Like I take my morning walks, and sometimes my friend, he produces beats. Like this is a new process where somebody else, it gives me beats, and I'm like, ooh, I really like this. And then I put lyrics over it, and then I might suggest something like a instrument or whatever. So that's more a collaborative experience. It really depends on the project. For a song like Heart Station, it really was like, I'm gonna just check out some really cool Eastern sounds, find some samples, put some music on there, and then lay down some vocals. And it was all on my phone. And then I transferred it to Logic. And I have really good friends who have great ears, and they're engineers. So I brought the pretty much bones and like a demo to them. And then they kind of like finesse or tweak just like volume levels or something like that. But that's kind of the process I enjoy, is when I can make something and like have fun with myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yo, that's me. I did that. And then I could go to somebody else and they're stoked about it too. And they just like need to tweak levels or whatever. I love that. It's like making your own spaghetti, you know, like different versions of your favorite spaghetti. So that's how I would see it, is like you make your own recipes. If you trust your own taste, then you could go and feed others and see how they enjoy it. And that's kind of how I would say my process is like. It's like making a really good spaghetti.
And what about lyrics? Yeah, you gotta compare it to food. I'll understand it.
Yes. Okay, cool. I love food. Okay, cool.
So how about lyrics? What inspires you when it comes to lyrics? And what's your process?
I love positivity. Like, not, that sounds crazy. That sounds like, oh, toxic positivity. I've heard that. No, but I love words that are just motivating or encouraging. So that's like the voice that I want to be for myself and for others. And generally I write like love songs too. When you see me solo perform, oftentimes it's really funny. Like I love just kind of punking the audience and seeing if they are listening, because sometimes I'll just be really smooth and then be like, I love ketchup and mustard. And then we'll see if anybody's listening. But when I do perform, I kind of actually make new songs up. And then with the idea that I want it to be positive lyrically, I want it to be a love song, I want it to be some sort of story, but yeah, I want to be a voice of encouragement and love. Sometimes I write sad love songs, and that's okay, but for the most part, the message has to be a positive one for me. Yeah.
And what is your process for actually like coming up with the words? Do you write everything down? Do you have like on your phone, or do you just kind of improvise, I guess?
It's a mix of both of those things. So now I'm really heavily using my phone, because on my runs, I just go like, oh my God, I have this thought and I got to lay it down and put it in notes, or I got to record it in my GarageBand app or whatever. It used to be a lot of handwriting things, and that's still my preference. But lifestyles change, you know, where I'm at. I just really like, sometimes the idea is so fast and I don't have a notepad and I got to just put my phone on. So right now, very digital, honestly.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So when it comes to performing, like, how did you, like, where are you at with performing now? Because you do a lot of shows in the Arts District, right, downtown. But you also go, like, to different cities and stuff. So how did that progress? I can't think of the word. Yeah, how did that change, and how did that start for you?
It starts small, right? So I started at open mics, and then as I gained more confidence in my performance, people would just ask me to perform for their private events or for, I don't know, a festival. And so it kind of slowly grew in that way. And now I really do want to play for just like people who enjoy art and enjoy original music. So I'm really trying to place myself in those platforms, festivals outside of the city. You know, I've gotten to perform internationally too, which is a dream come true. But it's really matching myself with people who appreciate like the originality or innovation of what I'm creating, whether it be like, oh, I made this song on like a phone, or I made this song really just on my own with a guitar. It's my original music. So that's kind of how it went, is that I kept performing, and then my vibe attracted that like opportunities that would be
that opened up for you.
Yes, that would be kind of like appropriate for my voice, if that makes sense.
So how did you learn the business of it? Because there's like a business to music too, especially if you're like, you know, performing at shows. How did you learn that, and are you doing that full time now?
Right now it's a collective. How I'm making money pretty much is just like a collective of all the things that I do: photography, artwork, musical performances, yeah, so I'm just kind of like really deep diving into each thing that I'm capable of servicing for others, because I consider what I do a service, and I just want to get better at these skills. So the business of it, I'm always learning. Like, it would be great to have like a mentor, but I've just been kind of navigating and just like making mistakes and then learning from them how to get better. So yeah, I'm open to learning about that, getting better at that. But for me and my journey, I would say being very intentional about collaborations right now is a big priority for me. With the sound that I am and the environment, like that sound, like I don't want to be putting my expensive equipment, something like the equipment that I invest in like a stage, or like around folks who may not be familiar with that material or the equipment that I have. So I really want to place myself intentionally. So that's my goal. And I've been met positively when I show up. I try to be as professional as I can. I communicate what I can offer and how I would love to collaborate with certain people. So it really is just maintaining that professionalism, that standard, knowing your value. In the beginning, you're kind of like given numbers and stuff and you're just trying it out. But as you get better and as other people give you feedback too, you'll soon learn as you get better, like you should charge more for things. And then really listening to the, what is it, like your coworkers, if you would say, like other people in your industry about like how much they're getting paid, keeps you informed too. So you're not like lowering your rate and then just ruining the standard, if that makes sense.
The balance,
Yeah. So I it's kind of, when you're freelancing or doing artwork, it's a little bit, it can be tricky, and I would say always be open to learning more. And that's where I'm at. Like, I'm not the ultimate best business person, but I really try to make sure that I'm my own agent and speaking up for myself. Yeah.
And you also you mentioned before that you had a manager, right? Did you have a manager or an agent?
No, I've never had a manager. I had an agent in terms of the placement, like sync placements. So my song Heart Station being placed on a Netflix show.
Right.
So that was through an agent. So I was on an agency.
Okay. And what does that mean? Sync? What'd you say? Sync?
Sync placement. So it's like where your music can be shopped around for film.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so there are plenty of agencies that you could submit your work to, and even now I've heard that there are just like online platforms that can do that. So yeah, it was just like a great opportunity. They reached out to me. So that's another thing, is as you put out work, your creative work will attract the people that can help you the best. So that's what I've learned, is that just keep on putting out the work, the quality that you offer, your own authenticity, and I believe that will attract the right people for sure.
Okay, so I guess when it comes to like Spotify and Apple Music, digital platforms, you do it yourself.
Yes, okay. I do. I'm like my own agent. I'm my own distributor.
And then the whole film thing was separate.
Film thing,
like sending it out for like films for like the Netflix show and stuff.
Right. So there are, I would say you can categorize different things. So when I make a release, I use DistroKid, and that helps distribute it onto all platforms like Spotify, iTunes, and then separately I go and upload on Bandcamp, because that's another thing that where I put my music on, SoundCloud. So sometimes you can use a distributor and they'll distribute it to as many platforms as they can. But then there are other platforms you have to manually do. So I kind of have a list when I have a release. I'm like, these are the things you got to do now, Sonia. And like, so yeah, you got to stay organized for sure. If you're doing everything on your own, it's really tough. But man, like if you know every aspect of how you're handling your business, then you can always like learn more, and then maybe at a certain point you will need like a team and stuff, but knowing each aspect is very important.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we talked about Heart Station. Give me the story of how it went to Netflix and the show that it was on, because that's pretty amazing.
Well, no, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So Heart Station. So that's the song that I wrote on my iPhone when I got an iPhone for the first time. Before that, I was an Android user, so I don't know. Everybody was like just pushing me to do it. So grateful because cool songs have been written on that, and one of them was Heart Station. So I wrote that about like 4 or 5 years ago, and this was after having released a song called Violent Water, which was a song that I Kickstarter funded for the music video. And it's a spectacular music video. The community came together to help pay for like whatever needed to be done for the music video. Desert Cactus Productions, amazing filmmakers. They just released their short film, and they're incredible. They do a lot of 3D animated, kind of like green screen work, and just amazing storytellers. So Heart Station was released after that big, huge, awesome music video. And so I kind of it's a learning lesson, and just keep on creating, keep on releasing. Because in that moment, I was just like, whatever, I really like this song. I love it lyrically. This is like one of the first songs I produced on a phone, like on my own, doing this. So I was like so stoked, but it was like a tiny release. It didn't get like that much attention after Violent Water. And then it's really crazy because if you just put it out there, you never know how it will come back around. So 4 or 5 years later, I get a call from my agent, the sync licensing agent. And this was before Christmas of that year. So this was 2023. And I was really kind of having a lot of personal things going on and going through, like, I don't know, what you might call a dark night of the soul or something. I was about to give up on music. Really, It was that bad. And
even though you just had like a big release with the
no,
music
I
video?
Didn't know. This is me not knowing yet.
Oh, okay.
So this is the point where I was like, man, I feel like I've done a lot, and quality. I'm all about quality over quantity. If I can produce in quantity with quality, that is the goal. But I was like, man, I've been just churning away, performing, releasing music, putting it out, copywriting it, learning everything, every aspect, being very professional. Pandemic hits, and I'm like, oh my God, crisis, still here, still around. And I don't know, I just felt like I did as much as I could, and I was at a point where I'm like, man, this is not, like, maybe I should just make it a hobby. That's how I was thinking.
Wow. Okay.
And really, if it wasn't for the push of my friends and family and being like, no, you're like really good at this, like you should just keep on going, right? So that was Christmas that year, and my agent calls me, said that Heart Station was placed in something, but he wanted to surprise me, and he just gave me like the scene, something about like a dinosaur, and something about like, I don't know, dragons or something, and then a fight scene, and I was like, okay, sure. So it's on Netflix. He shared the show name, so it's called The Brother's Son. And I see the trailer, and I'm like, no way, Michelle Yeoh is in it. You know, she's like one of my heroes from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'm like, what are you saying to me right now? So I see that trailer, and I'm like, no freaking way, oh my God. And it comes out, and on the second episode, they told me it was the second episode, I watch it, and my song is like 2 minutes, around 2.5 minutes, and for some reason, it was in there for like 4 to 5 minutes, and I was like, how's that even freaking possible, because my song is like half that. But they extended it. The sitar parts were they were like so in alignment with the vision that they had, because it's like an Asian cast and crew. The writers were also Asian American. They were very mindful to have a soundtrack of Asian Americans, or like Black, or just like really a diverse musical background for that soundtrack. And I was like, just blown away at how perfectly the song fit the scene in the show, and how the lyrics too fit for it's like the part where the love interests see each other after being like estranged from each other for a while, or it's just like they haven't seen each other for a while, and then the song hits and it's like, oh my god, that's mine. So it's like, it was everything. It was a love song, like my intention of like how I want my music to bring people together and be positive, and then it had the fusion of who I am, which is like the sitars being Eastern, and then the drum parts being the Western, and it's just like each element of my song was used so beautifully in that episode that I was so blown away. And it reminded me, like, that was a moment where I like, you can't give up, Sonia, because it showed me things take time. It's like a garden, and what I've been creating for myself in my life, I didn't know it then. It was just like me doing things that I love. They were the seeds to create these like beautiful plants that are now just blossoming and showing to me that like I've been this gardener at work, you know? Like sometimes it won't show. Like some plant will take 4 to 5 years to just be like, boom, here I am. And that was how Heart Station felt to me. And I continue to use that like garden metaphor in my own life when I don't see physical results or the money in my bank account. Oh my God. The money in the bank account for an artist is like the worst thing that we could just like monitor sometimes, because our mental health just crashes. But anyway, so that's the story of Heart Station, and how it really inspired me to keep on going.
That's
and,
beautiful.
and that was my own voice telling me. Even the lyrics, it's that in the lyrics it goes like, and if you fall, get back up in celebration. Just feel the beat, let it fill up your heart station. And it's like, oh my God, like, you know, when you make mistakes or you don't see results, it's like, it's okay. Just get back up every single day and try. And that's it, man. Like sometimes I forget, like I should just listen to myself.
You're your best supporter.
Yeah, you gotta.
But you're also your worst like critic. So
it's true, but I think ultimately the positive outweighs the negative.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much to be grateful for in this life. Like we wake up and then the sun shines, you know, like there's stuff like that. And I just have to remind myself, but it is a journey. It's like the mental health of an artist, because we go through it's rocky sometimes, but to be resilient in that, it shows you that you can create and you can impact the world in a positive way. You just got to take the small steps. The small little seeds will sprout. They will.
that's beautiful. So they made the song longer. So when you license it, they can just do whatever they want with it, or how does that work?
Yeah, for the most part, I would say.
Okay.
So they ask for the stems, so each part of your song.
Oh wow. Okay.
And they say, you know, well, I don't know, because my agent was speaking with them, but that's what they asked of me, is to make sure that each section of the song was given, so that they could kind of like do what they needed for the scene.
Do whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that's a big thing that happened to you. What's next for you? What you got going on this year, 2025?
Oh man, I'm so grateful. That's all I can say. That there's some really cool opportunities that are coming up. I intend to do kind of like quarterly showcases of my work. Like, so how you saw me at Spacecraft Studios.
Yeah.
Spacecraft Studios has been so pivotal in helping with like the showcases that I do. Because now it's like I draw, so I put my drawings and frame them for people to see. I make prints so that if people wanted like a print of not the original, but like they get to see the originals and the prints, then I can rotate that work. So that's my intention, is to do like quarterly shows of the different collections that I'm making. Whether it be like a new song I share, a new music video. So the last one was I collaborated with some wonderful folks who are alumni of UNLV, and they now live in Los Angeles. And we created that well organized, mostly female film cast and crew, very diverse as well. So that matters to me, to support women in the film industry. And so I released my song "Give Me an Excuse," that music video, at my last showcase. So I want to do that, like for each showcase, just share new collections, new works. That's what's coming up. And then I don't know, people have been asking me to speak on my journey more.
Okay.
Like, so you had asked me. So that's really cool. I think there's like a pattern happening,
Yeah.
but I might have just like more storytelling opportunities.
Yeah.
On my run the other day, like 2 days ago, I literally just surprised myself because I ended up finishing like pretty much the outline of a children's book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this has been an idea that I've thought of for about like 2 years, because I made a mug in a ceramics class, and then that's how it is. It's like if I see a visual, sometimes a story comes in my mind. So I've had the story of Mason the mug kind of in my mind, and that might be coming out soon.
Okay. That's awesome.
And just more performances, open mics.
Yeah, what's your next performance? You said you had a performance at the end of the month or beginning of February?
Beginning of February. Oh, yes. So I have a few lined up. In May, I would say those are the best ones that you
May,
can
okay.
find me. Because in February, I think those might be like private engagements.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So in May, the first Friday and the third Saturday, I'll be performing at the Arts Factory.
Okay.
So those are going to be pretty neat. I'll be collaborating with some great artists there. So on the second floor, Andy Warhol's loft. So stay tuned for that. That should be really cool. I'm actually intending to kind of share my artwork prints at Market in the Alley in February. I might be doing like a cool showcase just with my artwork, just artwork, maybe some musical performance. But I'm having a meeting tomorrow with some friends to do like a really interesting showcase of that type of work at Spacecraft again. So just follow all my social media is what I say. There's a really cool, unique, creative experiences that I'm helping curate or will be a part of. So that's what I'm excited for this year. It's just going to be new collections, new works, and maybe some more speaking engagements. I'm always thinking of my local community, how I can create something and give it to my community, reflect an emotion or a story that they could resonate with. So I'm from Vegas, so I just want to be like a good example for my community.
For sure. I love that. All right. Well, follow her on her Instagram and follow her music on all streaming platforms.
Yes.
And see you next time. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Angel.
Peace.
You're awesome.